This Texas story comes from Travis Allday and his dad Marty from Midland, Texas.
I was born in 61, so most of my memories are from the late 60s and all through the 70s. And I grew up in Midland, Texas, in West Texas, in the Permian Basin. Permian Basin is an oil town. The oil industry was booming and has boomed and busted throughout history, and we lived through some of those in Midland. It was a very affluent town, a lot of independent oil men who were very wealthy, had lots of success in the oil patch, and so they owned airplanes and boats, which is kind of surprising because there's no water anywhere near Midland for, I think, 300 miles or something. But once upon a time, Midland had more recreational boats per capita than any place else in the country.
Do you have any adventures that you could tell me about?
So I mentioned earlier that we had a lot of boats in town, and I was old enough to drive, so I was probably 18 or 19. Some friends and I decided we were going to go camping over to Possum Kingdom. We were going to drive over to Possum Kingdom and camp out for a 3-day weekend. My dad owned a four-wheel drive Chevrolet Blazer, and it had a trailer hitch. And so one of my friends told me that his grandmother, that's what it was. I think his grandmother or his aunt had a boat on a trailer, and that we could use the boat. And so when we got ready to go, I showed up over at that house and backed the truck up in there, and we connected the boat and drove 3 or 4 hours to Possum Kingdom, put the boat in, disconnected the trailer, and then I started looking for a place that we could camp. And I was driving along the side of kind of the edge of the lake, and sure enough, I bogged down all 4 wheels in the mud, and so we were stuck in the mud. And this is Friday night of a 3-day weekend, and so we spent all weekend either playing on the boat, taking turns playing on the boat, and when we weren't playing on the boat, we were trying to dig ourselves. I was trying to dig that truck out of the mud. And I finally found. We found some guys who had Jeeps and tried to pull the Blazer out, but that didn't work. And so I finally found a guy with a big tow truck, and he had all of his family over for the holiday, whatever the holiday was, all of his in-laws, and he was kind of looking forward to getting away from them. I guess they were pestering him, and so he was willing to come and connect he had a big tow truck, and connect it, and it just dragged my dad's Blazer out. So we reconnected. This was Monday of the holiday, so we reconnected the boat up and drove it home, stopped by the car wash on the way home, and washed it all off and washed off the underneath my truck and everything. And I kind of thought I'd gotten away with a pretty big mistake, that I'd managed it pretty well. Everything was fine until a week or two later, my friend whose aunt owned the boat told me that he'd gotten in trouble. He did not have permission to take that boat. So we had essentially stolen that boat and used it for the weekend. And the reason he got caught was that somebody left some worms in a bucket in the boat, and they died and begun to stink, and that's how we got caught.
This Texas story is brought to you by the doctors of Texas State Optical, who are proud to celebrate 80 years of Texas history.